If you are not on the waiver wire right now, your league mates would like to personally thank you. We are so back, boys. Opening week of baseball is officially in the books and chaos is already taken over. Breakouts, busts, overreactions, it's all happening right now. These first few weeks are everything when it comes to finding that next breakout impact player that you can slot into your lineup all season long for free off the waiver wire. Leagues are won on the wire, and today we've got a ton of names to go through. But first, if you're new here, I'm Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. Okay, we'll keep going with Kyle Harrison, starting pitcher from the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, Harrison just does have flat-out phenomenal stuff. I love watching him pitch. The former top pitching prospect is starting to come into his own. He's added some velo on his fastball, which you like to see. He's changed up his pitch mix with a new changeup that has added a lot of depth to it, making it a real weapon against righties, something that may have been lacking just a little bit before. And against the Rays, he absolutely peppered them with heaters inside the zone, ending with an overall 74% strike rate. And that is just crazy, and that'll do just fine, young man. Harrison generated 16 whiffs and a 34.5% CSW on 87 pitches. The only blemish on his line was a first inning solo shot blast from Yandy Diaz, where he just hung a changeup kind of over the heart of the plate and it just got punished. Great hit by Diaz, and Harrison probably would like that one back. One thing with Harrison, though, he is still very fastball dependent. He threw it 55.2% of the time, but I trust Milwaukee's pitching development. There always just seems to be a Milwaukee Brewers pitcher just coming out of nowhere each year, and it's just so damn useful for fantasy every single year. All of his movements graded out slightly better than last year, and he's making improvements. And when you see just a pitcher throwing plenty of strikes like Harrison is with quality stuff, if not great stuff, usually good things will happen. I'm in on Harrison, and I think it's a nice speculative ad for 12-team leagues right now. Next up, we'll go with another starting pitcher, and that's going to be Parker Messick off the Cleveland Guardians. Now, I talked a lot about Parker in my sleeper video, who honestly was just getting slept on in drafts this season, and that was partially due to him just not having a secure spot in that rotation this year. But Cleveland ended up doing the right thing, which just seemed blatantly obvious, by the way, and he broke camp and made the team. So Messick went out and got the job done against the reigning champs, the Dodgers, firing 6 scoreless innings with 5 Ks and only 1 extra base hit. He was efficient, throwing 51 of his 76 pitches for strikes. He walked nobody. He peppered his sinker inside to lefties with a 33% usage rate, which I like. He toyed with a new cutter, and overall just had a great outing using his entire 6-pitch arsenal. I have no idea why I sound like I just smoked a pack of darts right now, but we're going to keep going. So that 4-seamer and cutter will hopefully do wonders for his changeup, preventing hitters from hunting that pitch, since the changeup is one of his better offerings, and just maybe open up that outer lane for him on the plate. I honestly don't even think that was Messick's best outing, that he was that dominant. I think he can do better. So if you can get a start like this against a team like this, like the Dodgers, without necessarily having your best stuff, I think that's a very good sign for his rest of season outlook. This start just kind of proved that the end of 2025 wasn't a fluke. Messick carried that momentum from last year, attacked the reigning champs, managing to stay in control and not get rattled by the ridiculously top level talent that he was facing. Next start doesn't get any easier though whatsoever against the Cubbies, so I wouldn't blame you for benching him, but if he goes out and has another good outing, he will be gone in practically every league. I like Messick for an ad in all 12 league teams right now. So this next one I'm definitely excited about, being a Seattle Mariner fan, but maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit here. It's definitely more of a prospect to stash as he's still milling away in AAA, but that's going to be Colt Emerson, the newly rich Colt Emerson, I guess I should say, from the Seattle Mariners. So yes, the massive news with Emerson and the Mariners is Seattle just inked him to a guaranteed 8-year, $95 million contract without playing a second at the MLB level. It is the largest contract given to a player without any major league experience in history, eclipsing that 8-year, $82 million contract that the Brewers gave outfield Jackson Chourio in December 2023. They have come out and they immediately said that they're not calling him up, they're not going to rush his development, but there's just no way in hell that he's going to stay in AAA while making big league money like that. The clock is just starting to tick now, and it's ticking fast, and I think the call-up's going to be sooner rather than later. But to Emerson as the player, he's a smooth swinging lefty shortstop. He possesses some of the best bat-to-bat skills in all of minor league baseball and was renowned for his plate discipline, a trait that's given him an incredibly high floor as a player since he was drafted. Emerson is now elevating his game though, making a nice change for fantasy purposes, posting some very hot underlying power numbers without sacrificing those nice contact rates all that much, which is just huge. Potentially rounding out his fantasy game, giving him a more complete player type that could push for potentially 20 plus home runs a year, even while playing in that cold, damp air up in Seattle. Defensively, Emerson is just solidifying himself as a shortstop for the future for the Mariners. He's made great strides in that department. He's really flashing that leather out there. And now the big question, the only real question here is whether Emerson is expected to join the big league club right away or if he's going to stay down in AAA for some extra season. Like I said, though, I think the pressure's on. I think the clock's ticking now that he's making big league money. I don't think he's going to be sticking around in AAA for that long at all. I think the pressure is going to be to call him up there to showcase that talent that they just handed almost $100 million to. They want some return for him now that he's on the big league payroll. But either way, he's a great stash candidate. Even before the contract news, he was just a kid that is just oozing with talent. Such a nice game for fantasy purposes. But now after this, I think it just solidifies his timeline to more of a sure thing rather than a true unknown. If you have an open NA spot, you need to pause the video right now, go at Emerson, and hope you hit a lottery ticket. Okay, we'll do a little quickie here because I know a lot of people have been asking in the comments on my last video if there is a good starting pitcher that they can stash or a player that they can stash in the IL right now that might come back and be really productive for the second half of the season. That's going to be Justin Steele off the Chicago Cubbies. Now, Steele is already facing live hitters in batting practice and should head out on minor league assignment at some point in April. It will be a long one though, obviously recovering from Tommy John surgery, but I feel like that he's ahead of other IL pitchers in his recovery and could be one of the first ones back, maybe sometime in late May. And when he comes back, we know he's going into a very friendly pitching situation with the Chicago Cubs. So if you have some open IL spots right now, you can add him to see how he progresses in his recovery, see how he looks, and you can make a decision on later if you get racked with injuries and you have to clear out some space. Steele has proven to be a solid starting pitching option when healthy. He should have the potential to get a lot of W's, a lot of quality starts without just totally imploding your ratios. I like Steele right now as a nice stash in all 12 league teams. Okay, next up, we're going to go with the third baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that's going to be Jordan Lawlar. And okay, I know it's risky because he's literally done nothing in the majors to warrant our consideration, besides him just hanging on for dear life for once being one of the upper echelon prospects in baseball all not too long ago. But Lawlar has actually picked up a few hits to start the season. He looks a bit more confident. He swiped the bag. He ripped a beautiful double off Yamamoto in the season opener, and he's just hitting the ball hard without even really getting a barrel on the baseball yet, and that obviously will come. I know it's a ridiculously small sample size. Everything is, as we're looking into baseball pickups right now for hitters, and some pitchers have only had one start, so it can almost be ignored. But something that's very promising happening with Lawlar right now is that almost all his contact has been pulled in the air, which you guys know I love. When players can do that, generally good things tend to happen over time. I think that'll be very key for Lawlar if that trend continues, to see him develop some more consistent success in the majors. Lawlar also changed his batting stance around, backing up in the box, stepping in closer to the plate and shrinking his stance. Who knows how this will work out? It looks like it's kind of been all over the place the last few years, but if he continues to get some results, sometimes the mental aspect of changing something, even if mechanically it doesn't increase his odd or increase his performance, it can just do wonders for a young player's mental. Like, yes, finally, I figured out the one thing that's going to let me succeed at the major league level. Lawlar is just the exact type of player that I like taking a risk on early in the season, a post-type sleeper, seemingly everyone giving up on him, kind of including his own organization in a way too, and just a 23-year-old kid going out there and trying to prove himself. I love it, and I'm rooting for the guy. There is significant risk in his profile, but the reward is damn juicy. Next up, we'll go with another young gun. That's going to be Owen Casey off the Miami Marlins. Now, it's really a dream hitter scenario, starting your first two series out against the Colorado Rockies and Chicago White Sox pitching staff. You can't really imagine a better start, best case scenario for a hitter. So I'm trying to calm myself a little bit down regarding the hype surrounding Casey and how his start has happened this year. But on the same note, a lot of it does feel real in some sense, because he was an accomplished power hitting prospect who just needed a chance after kind of toiling away for a few years years in AAA and then just having no room whatsoever in that Chicago Cubs outfield last year for him to get a real shot at playing time. Casey looks like he's increased his bat speed a bit this year, which is good. He already has hit 4 balls over 104 miles per hour this year, 2 topping out over at 111 miles per hour, one of those being a 2-run walk-off shot against the Rockies on Sunday, and you just love to see that from a young guy. You can't underestimate how much that will do for his confidence at the plate and in the clubhouse going forward. Call me crazy, but I do believe there's 30 home run upside here, and he just hasn't looked overwhelmed at the plate at all. Albeit it is a small sample size, a limited sample size. It's a good thing to remember just about all these guys in the first couple weeks here. The sample sizes are extremely small right now, so try not to overreact either way. There will always be loads of risk in a player profile like Casey that tends to strike out a lot. He had crazy high strikeout numbers in the minors, and usually that gets bumped up in the majors. But if he can just figure out to stay around the 22 to 25% strikeout rate, I really do think he could push for 30 plus home runs here. There is potential here. Miami should just give him all the run he can handle as well. He should have a long leash for playing time. Casey has 7 hits, 8 RBIs, 1 home run, and 1 swipe through his first 6 games. It's just a dream start for anyone like myself who drafted him late in drafts this spring. Honestly, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice right now. I know some of you guys just tune in for that Canadian ASMR. So if it's ruining it, my apologies. It's pissing me off. Okay, and for a little deep league special for you boys here, we're going to go Jesus Sanchez off the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, in his 6th season, Jesus has yet to reap the full benefits of his offensive skill set across an entire season. But now the 28-year-old has been granted another new opportunity, another change of scenery, and he's hoping to unlock the best version of himself in 2026. Sanchez just plain out dominates right-handed pitching, and the Jays are so successful maximizing the platoon position in 2025 that Sanchez should fit perfectly and complement that offense perfectly on what the Jays want to do on a night-to-night basis. He has elite bat speed in the 90th percentile or higher the last 2 seasons, and we will come back to this in a second, but he has elite max exit velocity year after year. Simply put, the guy can just mash baseballs. Over the last few years, his expected stats, his slugging percentage, and his expected WOBA have both been higher than his actual, so you'd like to think eventually he is going to get some positive regression. He is going to get some luck on those cannons that he's hitting out into the outfield, especially with the power metrics that he has. Sanchez has improved his K percentage and his whiff percentage last year. He lowered his strikeout rate to 22.1% and his whiff percentage 25.9%, which were both massive differences from the prior year, and that even included that brutal stretch that he went through with Houston where he couldn't hit a freaking beach ball. All of this just makes sense why the Jays gambled, especially with their prowess on getting the most out of their hitters, and why they brought in Jesus Sanchez last offseason. One other cool thing too is just if you add in the fact a lot of fly balls against righties would have just been home runs or off the wall if he played every game in Rogers Center since 2023. If you just look at this graph here, and the friendly hitter confines of the entire AL East for lefties like Fenway and Yankee Stadium, it just has Sanchez primed to put forth his best season to date, or at least he has the opportunity to. Okay, now back to the bat speed thing. The Jays have actually been working with Sanchez to actually slow his swing down just a little bit so he has a better opportunity to make contact and just be more accurate. And you can see here the dip compared to last year. I still think his bat speed will come up just a little bit, but it's a noticeable development along with the Jays switching up his stance. His hands to be more upright vertical, allowing Sanchez more time to identify the pitch coming and just be on time. Shout out to Twitter, Damon98 for the intel. Bang all that up in your calculator, and Sanchez in the 2-hole 3 of the last 4, starting 4 games in a row, hitting balls over 100 miles per hour left, right, and center. If he can even just shed some of that platoon risk for 2026, I am just super excited. I'm super bullish on what Sanchez could possibly be if everything comes together for him this year. Okay, now like I did with basketball, if you stuck with me, we're going to go over the Yahoo most added 5 batters, 5 pitchers, just to see what leagues they're adding and what I think about them. It's just going to be a quick blurb, but won't be as long as the waiver wire section, so let's get into it. Okay, first up, Yahoo most added, we got Joey Weimer-Lemur. Now, honestly, Joey has just sort of come out of completely nowhere, setting an MLB record for most times on base to start a season, and honestly, I'm just chalking it up to an insane hot start. His BABIP is over 650 right now. I don't think he's going to be the next coming of Barry Bonds, but maybe he is. I don't know. Weird things do happen in the MLB, and it is such a small sample size. You can ride him while he's hot, but I wouldn't put in a ton of faith that any sort of type of this production is going to last rest of season. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm betting against the latter. Next up, we got the Burger Man, Jake Burger McDonald's. Now, literally the definition of an all or nothing power guy. He just gives me like prime Chris Davis vibes. He's either getting a solo shot, he's going 0-4 with 3Ks. The power has shown up early, so it's up to you if you think it's going to continue to stick. Personally, I like to chase more well-rounded skill sets at this point of the season, so he's not somebody that I need. But if you're super desperate for power, I don't blame you. We'll keep going with Carson Bench off the New York Mets. Now, he had an awesome opening day. He has all the tools and talent needed to be successful for fantasy purposes. I think he's going to get platooned against lefties unless he shows some massive improvement early on, which will limit his fantasy value a little bit. I expect him to go through some ups and downs. He needs to keep his K percentage in the 25% range and not 30% like it is now. I like the ad. I like the potential, but I'm not necessarily going to go blow my load on the waiver wire to go out and get him, if you know what I mean. And then look who it is. We got Jordan Walker. Is he finally doing the thing? Like, or is this just another hot start that turns into like a season-long line of a 210 batting average and a 600 OPS? You guys know I love post-type sleepers. Walker fits that bill perfectly, just like Lawler did in the waiver wire section. Walker's hit metrics, his power hit metrics are always superb. Bat speed's incredible. The question is, can he stop whiffing and striking out as much to consistently be useful for fantasy? Is this the year he does it? I've been burned by him so many times. I don't know. Are you guys in on Walker right now, or you think he's just going to fade into oblivion in the next month or so? Let me know in the comments down below. And the last hitter, we got Andres Jimenez off the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, a 4-hit day is really boosting his stats right now in the early going. All his expected stats just scream regression. I know it's a small sample size. I don't think we've seen anything concrete, though, in the early going to suggest that he's more than a contact first guy right now. I don't think he's going to have much power. If he can get on base, though, he'll definitely be useful in the stolen base regard. So there is some rest of season value if you are chasing swipes, and if you think his contact rates can hold up and he'll get on base enough to maybe approach 20 plus steals. Okay, now let's move on to the 5 most added pitchers from Yahoo. So first up, we got Mad Max Scherzer from the Toronto Blue Jays. So Mad Max had a first great start. He was cruising against a terrible Rockies lineup. How many times have we said that in the last 5 years? A terrible Rockies lineup. Poor Colorado fans, I would feel bad for you, but you guys got the Nuggets, you got the Avalanche, and you got the Broncos looking up. So whatever, you got the other 3 major sports teams, you guys will be fine. However, with Mad Max, as long as the future Hall of Famer can stay healthy, he will be a nice streaming option for 12 league teams against the right matchups. He doesn't have the elite swing and miss stuff that he had earlier in his career, but he's a savvy vet who knows how to eat up innings with just a great team surrounding him. So there's always a good chance for a win or quality start. Next most added is Emerson Hancock from the Seattle Mariners. Now, he had a great first start. I definitely need to see more from him. He did change a little bit of stuff in the way he was pitching, but I just can't fully buy in yet. He didn't really have a feel for his sweeper or secondaries. The fastball is still underwhelming velocity-wise. It was a step in the right direction for him. It's good to see, but he's far from out of the woods here, in my opinion. I need to see at least a couple more starts where he's going to build on this success and see if it's going to be sustainable with his pitch arsenal. Then we got Lance McCullers Jr. Now, another great first start. You're going to hear me saying this a lot. You can't deny his strikeout potential, but he may be one of the more inconsistent pitchers and a lot of health uncertainty with him going forward. He did this last year with 19 Ks across 2 games and proceeded to follow up that with 12 earned runs the following 2 outings. So an absolute pendulum swift. Maybe he's unlocked something with the new cutter, but he almost also got shelled in the 6 minus a couple lucky breaks. I'd like to chase elsewhere unless you have an absolute nobody on the bench that you can drop and just see if Lance can continue to build on this over the next few outings without the bottom falling off. We'll keep going with Michael Soroka. Now, speaking of another guy who just struggles to stay healthy, unfortunately, is Soroka. He dominated the Tigers. So 10 Ks at 37.1 CSW. He peppered them with curveballs, getting 9 whiffs and almost a 50% usage, which is wild. He also had an immaculate inning to boot. Like, overall, just the best start to your season that you could ask for. I like Soroka. He's definitely an ad where available. The next part of his schedule is pretty gross, though. Puke level gross with the Braves, Philly, and Baltimore. But if he comes out on top from that, he'd be an almost must-add in every league, regardless of size or format. And the last pitcher up we got is Landon Roop. Now, the big looping curveball is fun to watch, but I feel like he relies on it too much for me. And to be able to consistently command it when you're throwing it north of 40% of the time. It didn't happen on Monday, though. That is the one thing that I like that makes me a little excited about it. So maybe the tweak of him throwing it less can help his consistency in that regard. He has a 20-inch separation from his sinker to cutter, which is just downright filthy. I really do like the potential here. The big question is, can he keep it up? I want to see more, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on him. All right, boys, but I think that's it for this video. There are going to be some shallow league ads on one of these screens here. I'm not going to talk about them because they're probably gone in 90% of all those super competitive leagues, but I do like these guys. So if they are floating around on your wire, I'd probably recommend going to try and add them if you have an easy drop. But I appreciate you guys commenting. I appreciate you guys liking the videos. If you haven't subbed, hit that sub button. I'll be doing weekly waiver wire videos all season long with hopefully some buy low, sell high videos dropped in the middle of the week every now and then. Who knows what it's gonna be like. My schedule is pretty busy, you know, being a dad, working, doing all that fun toddler stuff. But I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good rest of your day, night, week, weekend, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys real soon.